Hey guys, thanks for tuning back to my channel, Freedom Chaser. My name is Sam, and today I have exciting news. I have to say that I have been in my fifth wheel now for 6 months. I know, I'm super excited. I knew I was going to make it. I mean, I'm here for the long run, but just all the, the problems that have come up and the setbacks and the hot days and the really cold nights, I'm still getting through it. And to celebrate my 6 months, I am going to share with you some of the, I think they're important tips to know if you're going to embark on this full-time RV living, or if you're actually already here, or maybe you're right about to do it, or maybe you're thinking about doing it and it might not be a thing for another year or so. Either way, I want to share with you some things that I have learned that have made my experience a whole lot easier. Some of these things that I'm going to share with you a lot of them are learning experiences. So maybe if I can go ahead and tell you guys what these are, you can be ahead of the game a little bit and not come across, some troubles and struggles like I had. So I hope that some of these tips will add some value while you're in your travel trailer or RV or whatever you're gonna be living in. So I have about 20 or so listed, and I'm going to start with some of the, I'm not going to go in full detail about every single thing. I'll probably make some more videos later down more in depth about them, but I'm just going to briefly go over them. And before I start, I just want to say that if you are living full-time in an RV and it's not by choice, it's because maybe something happened to your regular house, or you're in a financial crisis right now and a trailer is all that you can afford. Well, I just want to let you know that that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being in a smaller house. Yes, it is. I consider it a house because it has everything that you need to live. And if anybody is making fun of you or down talking you because your living situation is on wheels, there's nothing wrong with that. So, but if you are in an RV by choice, more power to you. It's an awesome way of living, and I'm right there with you guys. The first tip I have is from when I very first was buying this fifth wheel. You have to take into consideration what size you're going to want. My fifth wheel is 34.5 foot long, and since I'm was going to be in it full time, I needed to consider, how much space do I need? Like I want like a living area and a place to cook meals and a restroom and a big enough bedroom that could hold all of my clothes. So, whenever considering the size you're going to need, just bear in mind that if you're going to be in there full time, you're probably going to want more room to stretch out. I've got 3 slide outs on mine, and slide outs really help, because if I didn't have the slide outs, it would be about 8 feet from wall to wall, and that's not enough space. So once the slide out slid out, I've gained about, I don't know, 3 foot on one side and maybe another 3 on the other. So it really opened up the space. If you are going to be traveling, if it may be different, but these tips are really just for more stationary. Like I don't use this for travel, but some of these tips may apply to you guys traveling as well. Okay, so when looking for size, just remember that everyday living, you probably want a little bit more room, to spread out and feel more comfortable. My second tip is, whenever you do, like if you're going to be stationary full-time like myself, I didn't invest in a towing vehicle, like a really big truck to pull it, because for one, I'm stationary, and for two, it's a lot less expensive to actually call a company or, you know, an individual who actually moves trailers. Those people are out there, and it's not that much money. It's pretty inexpensive to for them to come pick it up and move it to your spot where you're going to be stationed at. And I'm assuming that the further distance you have to go with the RV, the more they're going to charge you to move it. So if you're going to be stationary for a year or 2 or 3 and you don't have a big tow vehicle to pull it, then financially it's probably not the best decision. Especially if you're downsizing like myself to get yourself out of debt, then what are you going to buy a big old diesel 250 or 350 truck to pull it, and you're just going to get back into debt. Okay. So my next tip is when you get into your spot, wherever you're parked, and you need to if your travel trailer has gas and propane tanks, you need to figure out exactly where those are on your rig, and you need to learn how to use them. Now, I know that myself, I come from homes and apartments where everything's electric. You know, you just flip a switch or push a button and things just magically get warm, right? So I don't know anything about propane and gas coming into this RV. But since my hot water heater has the option to run off of gas, I needed to figure it out quick because I'm not into cold showers. So whenever you get settled in, you know, make sure you know where the gas goes, how to hook the tanks up, how to turn them on. If you have 2 of them, you need to make sure, you know, you turn one on and you don't turn them both on at the same time. And when they get low, you need to know where to take them, how to fill them up, or some places just swap out the tanks. They give you a brand new one that's full and you just give them your old one. That's always nice. But you need to know how to hook it back up, hook the gas lines back up, so you can get the gas running, so you can use your stove and if your furnace, if you choose, and so you can run your hot water heater and have warm showers. I know that when I first started with the when I first learned that I had gas and I was going to be using gas, I kind of freaked out because, like I said, I'd never used gas before, and gas kind of scary. I don't know what to do with gas. All right, my next tip is when you are in your spot for your full-time living, you need to get up on your roof if you're able to, and you need to crawl around on your hands and knees and search for cracks and any holes. You need to get those sealed up ASAP, because if you guys saw my previous videos, you will have noticed the leak that went really, really long, and now I'm doing lots of repairs on my back wall because the roof was not sealed correctly, so water was getting in, and it was getting in for a long time. This is going to save you lots of money in the long run. Every 6 to 12 months, you guys want to get up there and check everything. Get on your hands and knees if you're able to, and get you some good sealant. Research, and you won't regret that one for sure. Also, after you check the roofs, you also need to go around all your windows, all around. Those are notorious for leaking as well, because on the outside, usually around the window seal, there'll be some type of sealant, and that needs to be checked as well, because if you're in an RV like mine, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15 windows in this place, so it's very critical to check all around the outside that those are sealed up too. Another thing to check for seals is if you have slide outs, there's gaskets around the outside. They're just rubber pieces that also help keep the water from coming in. Those can have wear and tear, and those can get cracks and holes in them, and water can come in through those too. So check around your slide outs as well for any possible signs of future leaks. One more. All the lights on the exterior of your RV, the tail lights, the backup lights, the little side lights, they're orange and yellow, those get sealed too. Those get sealant around them as well, and if those crack, if that seal on those lights crack, then water can come in through those too, so check the lights. Another good tip that I want to tell you guys is up on your roof, you should have some sewer vents, and I've got 4 on mine, and sometimes those can get clogged up with grass or dirt, or little wasps can make nests down there, and if those get clogged up, then sometimes that will make a like if the sewer vent is clogged and there's sewer smell trying to get out and it's clogged and it doesn't have anywhere to go, it's gonna come right back down and it's gonna come in your RV. So one night I was laying in bed here, and sure enough, all of a sudden I just smelt this really bad, nasty sewer smell, and it was coming from the vents. And the next day I realized, okay, well, if it's coming out of the vents, something must be trapping it, so it can't come up. So I went on the roof and I popped the cap off, the sewer vent cap, and sure enough, I had some really big chunks of dirt that had just accumulated over time, just stuck in those vents. And then there was old dead insects. It was nasty. So I cleaned those out real good, and I haven't had that problem since. So you guys make sure to check those sewer vents. Another good tip for whenever you're full-timing stationary, also traveling, or if thinking about full-timing, you guys need to know how to utilize your black tanks and your gray tanks. Whenever you're dumping them, be sure to understand that you have to do it on the regular. It isn't like a regular house. You have a tank, basically one gray tank that holds all of your water from your shower, from your kitchen sink, and from your bathroom sink. And then you have one black tank that holds everything that goes down the toilet. So, and from the tank, you have to go outside and empty the tank down into the city or wherever your sewage. Then you actually have to manually do it. So don't forget to get educated on that, because that's going to be a routine. You can't just, if you start washing dishes one day and all of a sudden your shower sink starts rising up with nasty gray water, well, it's time to flush it, but you shouldn't let it get going that long. Depending on how many people are in your trailer and how often the water is being used, should determine, how often do I need to flush these tanks, and you'll get into the swing of things once you move in full time. So usually right outside of your tanks where you dump them, you're going to have your water hose that is connected to a water supply, and then it connects up into your RV, and it's going to feed your sink and your showers and all that good stuff. If you should probably, like, I'm connected to city water, but they make these really cool filters that you can attach to your water hose, to the water line, and it's really probably a good idea to have that filter on there, because like this isn't a regular house, so there isn't really any kind of filtration. It's up to you to bear in mind what kind of water you're consuming, and make sure it's, you want it as clean as you possibly can have it. So also learn how to hook up your hose. It's real simple, but that is something you're going to need to make sure to have done once you get moved in, because you will need some water supply into your RV. Now, my last tip for the exterior of the RV is most of them come equipped with awnings. That is the really long cover, it's like a really fancy tarp, but I don't know the material. It's usually out front. You can pull it, stretch it straight out, and it provides some shade, so you can maybe sit under, or kind of keeps the sun out from it blocks some of the sun from coming into some of your windows, so it could kind of keep the heat out. Now, one night I wasn't prepared for this. It was storming, it was raining. If you do not put your awning back in through a storm, you're just going to hear bang, bang, clank, clank, clank. And that's what happened one night. I forgot to put the awning in, and it was clanking around, and I ran outside. It was storming. It was rain everywhere. And I didn't know how to put the awning back. So I'm out there getting soaking wet in the pitch black dark and trying to figure it out. It was a mess. So definitely learn how to pull your awning in and pull it back out and all that good stuff, so you don't have to get yourself in a tight spot when you need to figure it out. My next few tips are going to be for the interior of the RV. I just want to take it back a step, back to those tanks, the gray and the black tanks. So it's very important to your black tank to keep in some kind of chemical. Chemical to dissolve body waste, to eliminate odors, because like I said again, it's just a big tank that's sitting underneath your toilet. So when you open your toilet lid, you know, there's your body waste in there, and it can come up and it can smell, and that's nasty. You don't want that in your home. So keeping some type of chemical in there is a really good idea. I would definitely research those, see which kind you would prefer, and don't forget to put those in your toilet every time you empty it. Okay, another tip that I would like to say is, since your RV is a really small place, it tends to get dirty really, really easily. You know, I can leave out a couple blankets, a couple dishes, you know, some books here and there, and I come home and I'm like, oh, this place is so cluttered. You know, it's just because it's so tiny. The more stuff you leave out, the messier it looks. So messy, so easy. So what I would suggest is, as soon as you walk into your RV, to take your shoes off. You know, you can attract dirt in really easily, and you know, because your floor space is so limited on your RV, and you start walking around and you've got dirt everywhere before you know it. So my suggestion is to just go ahead and take your shoes off as soon as you get into your RV, and place them by the door or somewhere, just so you don't attract all that dirt in. Also, keeping a small vacuum cleaner on hand is a pretty good idea, because like I said, the floors get dirty really easily, and just kind of folding it up and tucking it away, because you know, RVs are really limited on space, so you don't want too many big bulky items taking up a lot of space. Okay, my next tip for you guys is to get to know your AC and your furnace. The furnace in my fifth wheel is gas. Now, since I only have 2 propane tanks, if I turn that furnace on, my gas is gonna be used up really, really fast. So I prefer to use other ways of staying warm in my fifth wheel. So, you know, some of you guys may have electric heaters. I don't have one in here, so I don't know what to say on that. But make sure too that just make sure that if you do decide to use your furnace, to make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector and a fire alarm too, just because, you know, your trailers are very small, and, you know, you have the gas lines running everywhere, and, you know, you just to be on the safe side, if, you know, because you can't see your gas lines, if, you know, you may have a hole or something and gas starts leaking, well, you want to be safe and protect yourself. Also, with the AC, when you are running it, remember that it has a filter just like a regular home, and those do need to be changed or cleaned. You know, I don't know how often, everybody's probably different, but if you are, you know, if you're a big family in an RV and you have a bunch of kids, or, you know, dust flying around or whatever, just go ahead and be mindful of those, because you don't want to ruin your AC just because, you know, it gets too clogged with dirt or something. It's real easy to pull it out and just clean it or replace it. Another quick tip is for your hot water heater. Some RVs come equipped with electric hot water heaters and some with gas. Mine has both. I do not turn on my electric hot water heater because it takes forever to heat up, and by switching my gas one on, it takes about 5-10 minutes, and my showers are piping hot. So I will turn that on to take a hot shower or wash some dishes in warm water, and then once I'm finished, I turn it right back off. So get to know your hot water heater, because you're going to want it if you want hot showers. Okay. Another one is, if you are showering and you do not keep your gray tanks open, that you cannot take very long showers. Bear in mind that you know, the gray tank eventually will fill up, and if your valves are closed and it gets too full, the water has nowhere to go, so it's going to fill up in your shower, and that's not going to be good. So if you want to take a quick shower, you know, you can rinse yourself off with the water, and then turn the water shower head, you can turn it off if you're capable, and then lather up and wash your hair, and then turn it back on and rinse off. So quick showers are kind of a big deal in the RV life, but you get used to it. Or if you want to leave your tanks open and allow water to drain, you can take longer showers. However, depending on the size of your hot water tank will also depend on how long you can take a shower for. So keep that in mind too. Okay, another thing to look for is, since everything is smaller in the RV, you need to be careful of your hands and your feet and your head and your knees, because you will bump things and you will accidentally turn and you will hit your hand. And I, for one, when I am in my bedroom and I am standing next to the bed, if I try to take my jacket off and I put my head up, I hit my hand on the ceiling. So every time I do it, I'm like, ugh, I can't keep doing that. So you've got to be mindful that, you know, things are a little closer in here and you don't have much spread out room. So just corners too. I've hit my knees on the corners of drawers before, and it's just a learning. I just have to train myself to be more careful. Most RVs come equipped with is a small sink, a really small sink. And y'all can keep in mind that anything can be remodeled in an RV. You know, you can switch it out for a bigger sink or whatnot, but if you want to continue to use the one that's the standard size, just know that your dishes are going to pile up fast. Another thing, speaking of sizes, is the refrigerator in the RVs. They're smaller, and if you plan on having to downsize to a trailer, just keep in mind that the refrigerators are smaller than obviously a big old house, a big size one, and you're going to have to maybe grocery shop a little more often, and especially if you have a family of 4 or 5 or whatnot, just keep in mind that the refrigerators are smaller. And like I said before, you can always remodel your travel trailer. If you don't like something, you know, like I said, if you don't like the sink, if you want a bigger one, get a bigger one. If you don't like the furniture that it came with, well, take it out, get rid of it, put your own, make it your own. If you don't like the color of the interior, well, you can just paint it. So, you know, it's your house, it's how you want to live, it's your call. So you don't have to, whenever you find that perfect RV and you think, well, maybe I would rather have it this way or that way. Well, they're all, you can change them. The sky is the limit. And my last tip for you guys is to just be aware of your surroundings, especially if you're traveling and if you're full-time stationary too. You know, if you're single and you're by yourself, like me, you got to protect yourself. So make sure your doors are locked. Make sure you know where your emergency exit windows are. Alright guys, this concludes my tips for full-time stationary living. I hope that one or many of these tips could add some value into your lives, and you guys can definitely take any of these and share with your friends, pay it forward. Just go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you guys all have a blessed day.